hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing that you're in love with me.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the largest update that Marvel Heroes has ever seen in its lifespan. This is the Marvel Heroes 2016 2.0 update. This update contains a lot of things that we have been waiting for literally months to see on the live servers. They have been on and off the test servers for quite a while, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go over the general ideas of what's happening with these, and I'm going to go section by section because literally this game has changed all the way from top to bottom. That said, if you want some more in-depth information about it, feel free to take a look at some of my test center streams, which I have linked in the description for this video, and that way you'll be able to see more about exactly what's going on. First thing I wanted to talk about was the hero progression. As you all know, previously we would earn power points that we would then put into the various powers to make them stronger, and we would base our builds off of that distribution of power points. Now, instead of doing that, as we level up, we're simply going to unlock the ability to utilize the powers. They do increase in strength as we level up, but we no longer have the ability to put actual points into the individual ones. So you can see up until level 30, we are unlocking the powers, which are represented by these two trees. After that, going from level 30 all the way up to level 52, we are unlocking the various talents. And these act very similarly to that of like Diablo 3 and other action RPGs, where these modify certain abilities that we have. For example, with Rocket Raccoon, this first talent changes how Groot works. So for example, we have We Are Groot, which allows Rocket to ride on the shoulders of Groot and shoot his guns, whereas we also have Groot's Healing Spores, which gives you health regeneration. And then lastly, we have the I Am Groot, which significantly increases Groot's damage. So you can see it's sort of a balance of how you want to play the character and how you want to utilize Groot. And again, this has happened for every single hero in the entire game. So this is a huge change. A lot of people, or a lot of heroes rather, have gotten their powers consolidated into individual traits, which are now the passive abilities that you unlock automatically. And many powers have been consolidated into singular powers or into the talents or traits. In addition, we have done away with medkits entirely. Instead, we just have a power that is the medkit use. It is still bound to M, so you just press it and it's used like any other power where it has a cooldown, but we no longer have an item specific for it. In addition, everybody unlocks their travel ability at level 10, and at the start it is not key bound to anything, although it was meant to default to R as the key. You can change it in the gameplay settings. Part of the reason for this is because one of the other major changes has been a change to the movement abilities. Now movement abilities work off of charges. After you use them 3 times, then you have to wait for them to recharge. And once they recharge, then you gain a single charge back, you wait another 3 or 4 seconds, and a second charge comes back, etc., etc. And that is how the movement abilities work. In addition to the power progression for the heroes, we have also completely done away with the Omega system in favor of the new Infinity system. So you can see this is based off of the 6 Infinity Stones, each one of them corresponding to an individual attribute. So for example, the Mind Gem corresponds to the Intelligence rank. And effectively what happens with this update is you get approximately 10% of your Omega points being converted into Infinity points, and you can see they're approximately evenly distributed amongst all of them. And within the Mind, you will see things for numerous different things. Again, it's primarily the Intelligence is the attribute you get, and then you get your primary resource, you get health regeneration, things of that nature. Power Gem is where you get some capability, you get some strength abilities, you get damage, and you get strength as the attribute. Reality, you get energy as the attribute. attribute, and then you get a little bit of increase in critical damage, which is the big thing for these two particular attributes here. Soul Gem, you get fighting, which is obviously going to be helpful for everybody, and then you're talking about Brutal Strike as the main two things that most people are probably going to go for. Space Gem, you get durability, and then you get area, deflection, dodge, and defense. So this is where your defensive aspects primarily are. The Time Gem is your speed and your cooldown reduction abilities, as well as your move speed and cooldowns primarily for the movement abilities, which is going to be tremendously helpful. So again, this is another consolidation move where we went from something along the lines of 13 different categories of about 2 to 3 dozen nodes each. It was absolutely ridiculous. So it has been massively reduced. We can still get similar builds to what we had before, but you can see the distribution of the abilities, exactly where they are and how to find them, is going to take a little bit of getting used to, and we do still have some flexibility, which is very nice as well. Moving right along with more of the character changes, with the complete alteration for the way that the power system works, where we no longer have power points, a lot of the, or rather all of the all of the unique items and many of the artifacts have been drastically changed, because again, most of these items would give us increases to specific powers, and now instead they're going to give us attribute increases, because that way they are still very useful. We still have damage affixes and things of that nature. You can see, for example, on my rocket I've got a lot of things for my summoned allies because I play as a summoner, but you can see that a lot of these now I've got +8 intelligence, +7 energy, plus intelligence, etc., etc. Same thing for all of these individual artifacts as well. Anything that gave any sort of plus to powers now gives pluses to attributes. One of the key things for this change as well has been the change to how attributes work in and of themselves. Whereas previously attributes were very specific to certain aspects of a character, where like for durability it was only really useful for tanky characters. Now we have much more widespread usability for all of the attributes instead. So it's not going to be simply I am an intelligence hero or I am a durability or a strength hero. Any attribute is good for any hero. So you can see here with durability we get defense rating and health. With strength we get deflect multiplier and reduced damage from deflected attacks. Fighting is great. We get awesome critical rating multiplier, and we also reduce damage from melee attacks. Speed, we get a dodge rating and a reduction from area attacks. Energy, we reduce damage from ranged attacks and a reduction in primary cost for powers. And finally, intelligence, we get a critical damage rating and a cooldown on the med kits. Now, again, this is a pretty drastic change from what we had before, because we had things like XP increases. We had, for example, intelligence was also increases in summoned ally damage. Energy did increases for energy damage and all this kind of thing. But now these are much more universal, which means that it's going to allow us for much more diversified character builds, which along with the power and trait changes is going to make it much nicer in my opinion. One of the other big things is the mission tracker system. So you can see now, instead of having a tracker that we just scroll through, instead we're able to click on this little icon right here that looks kind of like a map marker, and we just select which ones we want to see specifically, and then it will list out the ones that we have available. So it's kind of nice because it's a customizable interface that we can use to say exactly what we want to see at any particular given time. Okay. Lastly, for the characters is the massive change to costumes. This is coming ahead of what's called the closet system. The way that's going to work is that the costumes will no longer be specific items. Instead, we're going to have sort of a drop-down menu that indicates what costumes you have acquired for a specific character. Now, instead of having costume cores, we have a new item called the catalyst slot. And these act exactly the same as as the slots used to, as the costume cores used to act, but instead they are just equipable items. And again, this allows us to switch between costumes on a single character, but still maintain those affixes, those bonuses that we get from what was once the costume cores. And you can see we've had a change in what they look like, where now we have genetic mutation instead of the X gene. And this is primarily because we've got Inhumans coming along, so that way they'll be able to share this particular thing. At least that's my guess on it. Cosmic Spirit, again, is something that's a lot more inclusive in terms of who's able to utilize it and things of that nature. So those are the main changes for what were once costume cores and are now instead the catalyst slot. The other new slot that we have is the flourish slot, and these are things like spray paints and the fireworks and stuff along those lines that just allow you to do some cute little woohoo type of thing on screen for other people to see. And we have had these items for quite a while in game, and now it's just we've got a separate slot for them that we're able to utilize if we see fit. You don't have to do it, obviously, right? And since the window is open here, you can see on the Team Up Hero, these have changed as well, because these also no longer have power points. Instead, they work off of the same system as the main character power, the power progression, where you simply unlock the ability to use the powers. They gain strength as the Team Up Hero gains levels and mastery, or gains the levels as a team up. And eventually you do unlock the signature power. And again, the nice thing about this is they're able to use every single one of them. So we don't have to only be sort of pigeonholed into the ones that we input the specific PowerPoints into. So those are the really major changes that we have had to the specific hero aspects. And again, this is a lot of different things. So we're talking about exactly how the entirety of character progression works, changing a lot of the items around, getting the new item slots. And I do want to emphasize again, if you're interested, please check out some of my other videos from the test center where I really went more in depth onto these. Last but not least, we also have changes to the game progression itself as well. The biggest change that we have, or the main change I should say that we have, is with the difficulty slider. And so this is sort of a throwback to the original incarnation of this game, where we had 3 difficulty settings for the story mode, or I guess not the original, but the first sort of initiation for it, where we had normal, heroic, and then super heroic. But now we've got the normal, the heroic, the cosmic difficulty, and then we're going to have omega difficulties added later on. And again, the idea behind this is that we'll be able to cater exactly how the individual sections of the story feel. And in addition, we do still have the same thing with the terminals, where now they're all consolidated. Instead of having red, green cosmic terminals, it's all the same thing. You just need to select your difficulty on this individual thing here. And challenges are not yet working the same way, and they are also still behind the wall of the cosmic trial, waiting to see exactly how that's going to turn out. But in the end, this is how things are going to function, right? So last but not least, as far as the actual game is concerned, is that a lot of the story system itself has been updated. And we already had information on Chapter 1, but now Chapters 2, 3, 5, and 6 have all had updates to how they function. And effectively, what's going on with these is they're trying to be made to be a little bit more linearized, have a little bit more of an exciting aspect for how you run into and fight the bosses and things of that nature. So instead of just having random encounters with bosses, you instead need to go to their specific area and their specific instance and then fight them wherever they exist. So for those of you who have played in Chapter 2, you may notice that this is a completely new area. This construction site did not exist in previous iterations of the game. And so what we'll see is eventually we'll get to a nice shiny new boss instance. and that's how we're going to progress through the remainder of this. So this is where it's supposed to be right here, but I haven't done any of the story, so unfortunately it hasn't been unlocked for me. However, that is chapter 2, and again, the same sort of thing has happened in chapters 3, 5, and 6 as well. One very nice thing that I am very appreciative of is that while in chapters 1 and 2 we do have a much more linear style of the story presentation, later on in the game we do have a much more open and exploration-based world. But we do still have those better instances with more interesting boss fights and different things that we have to deal with and all that kind of stuff. But that said, I want to say that's all that it is, but again, this is a huge, enormous, absolutely ridiculous update. This is by far the biggest update that Marvel Heroes has ever seen. Literally top to bottom changes to the heroes, changes to the progression, changes to the items, changes to what was the Omega system and is now the Infinity system, changes to attributes, powers, story mode. Every aspect of this game has changed massively. So if it's been a while since you played, I do encourage you to go ahead and give it a try and see what you think now. Again, the developers are very, very good about hearing feedback and all that, and I'm sure they would love to hear from you guys. But that said, I'm going to go ahead and get to exploring this game. You all have a great, great time. Thank you so very much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.
Lips as sweet as candy, its taste is on my mind. Girl, you